Hi everyone, this is Dango. In this video, we are going to talk about Juggler in Langrisser Mobile. So Juggler is a very confusing character for beginners and also for elder players. So the confusing starts from the beginning, lot of lands for Juggler. Juggler is actually a character that has the highest amount of classes in this game. And to use Juggler, it is very recommended you need to have all the class unlocked for Juggler. So that's a lot of runestone for beginners, but it is super worth it if you want to use Juggler in PvE or in PvP. In PvE, Juggler is basically a counter AoE heal, so in some of the challenge, in some of the Ancient Awakening, then you will need Juggler to counter the AoE damage there. And also in PvP, AoE is a very important strategy, and of course you can also use Juggler to have the counter AoE strategy. So for PvE content, Cavalry Juggler is more preferred just because you would have more mobility with Juggler. Most of the other characters, if you are using Flyer, you are using Cavalries, then they will have 5 mobility. And as a Cavalry, you can catch up with your team easily. So this is like definitely more recommended. But for PvP, most players will use Juggler as Hydra. Not only because you get a lot of damage reduction for Hydra Land when you are in water, but also because you can use the special gear Last Ride, which is very good against any physical or magical attack. This is why Hydra is actually very preferred for PvP content. But now the question is, in PvP, what is the goal for Juggler to achieve? Other than just use Juggler as a counter to AoE, what goal you want to achieve with Juggler? And also, what is overall strategy you want to do with Juggler? So this is very essential and related to how you build Juggler. So to actually use Juggler effectively, first you need Juggler to survive if you are not rushing. So if you're like unless you are rushing, like for most of players, I think in global, you are not really using a rush box. If you are using a rush box, then you can go with the Cavalry Juggler. So the point for Cavalry Juggler is that you have high mobility, so you can move 5 and then you can jump 3, and then you can also use balanced sword on Cavalry Juggler. So this is basically moving 5 and jumping 3 and then attacking another 5 spot. So this is a huge amount of distance there. But the problem is like, as we discussed earlier, Cavalry Juggler is just not going to survive anything. So basically you jump and then you die. So in this case, you must have all other follow-ups. So your box should have all the long legs to follow up with Juggler if you are using a Cavalry Juggler. I still think this is a okay strategy if you are trying to just rush your opponent. And of course, in this case, you have to ban a lot of characters. You have to ban the best reactive characters in this game. Probably you have to ban Yusuke, you have to ban Dietrich, you have to ban even Ritual, these kind of characters. That is very good reactive characters that just can make your jump less effective. So there are a lot of pick and ban restraints because you also need to pick all the characters that can follow up. For example, Iris, for example, Leonhardt, those characters that can really follow up with a Cavalry Juggler. But this is actually, a rare case. So a rush strategy in this case is like you rush and you either win or you just lose. You have to have a perfect play, you have to have perfect follow-up. So I do think it is a feasible way, but it's not the best way. So if you do with Cavalry Juggler, as I mentioned earlier, you have to use the balanced blade so that your AoE, the 3-cost skill Master of Ice, will have 1 extra range. This can make your jump from Juggler more effectively. You can bring all the enemies into water, so their infantry and cavalry units will not move very well after they are in water. So this is why you have to use balanced blade for Juggler. And then the other gear, I would say, just try to increase the mobility of the Juggler. Use Breeze enchant is probably preferred, and then you can also do other just the cavalry gears. So for your Cavalry Juggler, of course the headgear you still use the special gear, and then most player they will still use the Hydra Juggler. And the good thing for Hydra Juggler is that although your threatening range is a little bit less, in this case, it is going to be 3 spots less than the Cavalry Juggler. But then the thing for Hydra Juggler is that you can survive a lot better. So this is why most players are still using Hydra Juggler. But if you are using Hydra Juggler, you are making a lot of sacrifice on the aggressive side. So you're playing more defensive style. So you do hope your Juggler can at least tank some hits. For example, you don't want your Juggler just to be killed from like Claret, Night of Mystery. So you have to think about how your Juggler can survive that. So there are a couple of strategies to help your Juggler survive. The first strategy is to use a Thrown Juggler or like a Green Juggler with a ton of health points. A good example of this type of Juggler is a Vacuum Cleaner's Juggler. So let's just figure out, yeah, here. We have a Vacuum Cleaner's Juggler, and this is one of the highest Juggler I have ever seen for all the PvP players. It has over 6,000 health point enchantment, and it is a Thrown Juggler using the Blood Pack. And this kind of Juggler you can test. It is very hard for characters like Night of Mystery to kill. And if you have Tiaras or other healer like Whaler Tiaras to help, then you can also survive like Claret is like easily. So this kind of Juggler is good, and you know, even some areas they can kill this Juggler, and then the Thrown is triggered, then that's a 1-1 trade, so it is acceptable. So this is one way to build your Juggler. The problem for this type of Juggler is that it is not very good if you are going to be aggressive, because the defense and magic defense is super low. And if you are using, for example, the 3-cost skill, Scared Beast Ham, then it is kind of like it's converting defense and magic defense to attack. So you will need to actually have essential defense and magic defense to make sure you will have high enough damage. And usually for AoE strategy, this is very, very important. Yeah, so this kind of Juggler is probably better if you are running a single target box. Yeah, so although Juggler is an AoE character, you only have 2 tanks in your box, Landius and Juggler. So if your Landius is banned, then you still need to play a Juggler game with all your single target unit. For example, in this case, the character you have in your box could be Night of Mystery, Yusuke, Iris, and also Claret, those kind of like long leg and single target character. So in this case, your Juggler can tank 1 hit, and you are probably banning your opponent's Landius, and you can kill your opponent's Juggler without having your own Juggler being killed. In this case, your other characters like Yusuke or Detroit or even Zoreda, if you have it, can easily just kill other units after you kill your opponent's tank. So this is one way to build your Juggler. So the good thing is that with this high amount of health points, even like character like MK or Claret find it very hard to kill. But then the downside is like when you are jumping in with your Juggler, you are not doing as much damage as the other build of Juggler. But this is why I say this Juggler is probably better for a single target strategy, which a Vacuum Cleaner is indeed one of the single target player in this game. You know, with Omega, like Yulia, this kind of single target characters, yeah, this is definitely working with a single target box. So another good example from that is actually, for example, Light Guy 7. Light Guy 7 also has a super high health point enchant Juggler. So those kind of Juggler, you can survive your opponent's attack easily. So that's one way to build your Juggler. But it is actually not the preferred way to build the Juggler. So the other way to build your Juggler is to use a Steel Enchant. For example, if you check Zelda M's Enchant, for example, here we go. This is a Steel Enchant. So Steel Enchant means like you can get 10% damage reduction from the steel, right? So with that damage reduction and also the damage reduction from Last Rite, and also the damage reduction from being in water, this is going to be super tanky. So Zelda, of course, this is a whale type of Juggler. This is the highest defense enchant I have ever seen for Steel Enchant, and also with a very solid health point. you can check the enchant here is super good. Yeah, like this enchant is just a wow. Yeah, I mean I don't have other words, but only wow. Yeah, this is just a like 3000 value enchant or 3000 bucks value enchant. Yeah, super high. But the point is to use steel so that you can survive a lot of attack. And in a steel build, you don't have to focus that much on health point. Instead, you can build more of the defense and magic defense. So I will give my standard. I think the defense value for steel juggler. Usually, if you want to survive Iris, if you want to survive Claret, if you want to survive yeah, all these physical damage dealers, usually you need 280 plus defense. That would be ideal. Then the health points probably needs to be 4000 and above. In this case, you can do some tests. Even the higher attack Iris, if he didn't dispel your defense buff and water buff, he will not be able to kill your juggler. So this is why Steel Enchant Juggler is very good. And of course, characters like Claret, they just don't have a method to kill this kind of juggler effectively. So this is a very preferred way of building juggler. Players like Zelda M and like Auto Rain, we can also check. I don't know if you can. Okay, yeah, Auto Rain. You can see Steel Juggler with you know, this is kind of a less or worse enchant compared to Zelda M's, but still solid, right? This is less health point and less defense, but still a very good juggler. So, and also we can check Straw. Yeah, so as you can see, Straw didn't have the juggler here, but yeah, Straw also using a steel enchant juggler with very high power. So this is the current best build juggler for all these players. We can also check what method is using. So Zensin, yeah, I think Zensin is using the other build of Juggler. I'm sure he will change the enchant later. He's using a Throne Juggler with a lot less health point compared to a Vacuum Cleaner. But still, this is a very high defense. So, but without the damage reduction, Iris kill this Juggler super easily, and you cannot survive Claret effectively. So I'm sure Zensin is going to change the enchant for Juggler later. So this is the other way of building Juggler. So there used to be a very popular way of building Juggler as well, which is 2+2 Juggler. So 2+2 Juggler is actually very aggressive, and I think you can still find some player using 2+2 build. For example, Selin here is using 2+2 build. This is a very high defense. This is the most free-to-play way to get very high enchants on the defense and also magic defense. Yeah, Lumus is still using Throne. Yeah, a lot of players. Yeah, this is also a steel juggler, but that defense looks a little bit low. You cannot survive well with this kind of defense. Yeah, but anyway, 2+2 juggler is also a very popular juggler that you can see a lot of players are using, and usually with 2+2 you can get super high value of defense enchant and also magic defense enchant. But then the problem is that without the damage reduction from steel, character that has very high damage increase like Iris and also like Claret, when they have any sort of damage increase buff, then it is very hard to survive from those characters. But when you are jumping in, then you can still deal very high damage. Yeah, but still, I mean, still enchant very rarely you have other characters to use your steel enchant. So I do recommend you to switch your juggler to a steel juggler. And as I said, if you want to set any standard, you can check. I think Lockset is also using a Throne Juggler right now. Not sure if he will change. You can check Auto Run, you can check Straw, you can check Zelda M, or you can also check Royalist Juggler, or you can check my Juggler here. My Juggler is probably the worst among all these players because my enchant really sucks, right? My defense is not even 280 yet. Yeah, so this is pretty bad. I will see if I can improve it later. But yeah, this is usually you would want to use with your Juggler. a steal enchant. If you are not going for the aggressive style, because if you are not using the Cavalry Juggler, if you want to use a water Juggler, you usually do want to make sure your Juggler can tank at least one hit, so that you can use, both the 3-cost skill and another aggressive skill, could be Master of Ice. So yeah, in this way you can maximize your Juggler power. He can tank your other units, and also he can be aggressive casting these 2 AoEs, and yeah, so this is why you want to use a Steel Juggler, so that you can actually survive most of the characters without super high increase in damage. Like if you give your opponent a Claret class Tiarius, and of course no matter what enchant you use, you just die, because yeah, it's just super dangerous to give your opponent attack blessing plus a super strong single target character. So you will never do that. But usually, if you don't let your opponent have Tiarius, and the Imelda, later Imelda 3-cost skill is super strong for single target strategy as well. Usually, if you don't let your opponent have those, you have a good chance to survive like either Ares or Claret. And of course, if you are worrying about you may be died to like Night of Mystery, or you may be died to like other magical damage dealer like Detroit, then you can also have Luna in your box. So Luna can help your Juggler survives a lot, or you can just have Listel. So Listel we talked a lot about in this AoE strategy. Listel is not only can do this manbore or finger to limit your opponent's healer, but also can help you tank the magic attack. She has one passive skill that can tank the magical attack with like one spot. She also have another guard skill that can tank magic attack within 2 range. So this is actually very strong. So against the magical single target damage dealer, you have Listel, and you have this Listel, you have this Luna to help you, and against the other single target damage dealer, you have your Juggler to tank it without any problem. Yeah, so this is basically how you survive with your Juggler. Yeah, how you deal with your Juggler. So yeah, you have to do it the other way. You have to have super long deck characters like Night of Mystery, like Iris, like Claret. Those are the top 3 Juggler killer right now, because they have the enough range to reach the character. The characters like Yulia and Detroit, the problem is just you are never reaching your opponent Juggler easily before this Juggler jump in before you reach them. So this is very bad. If you do plan to deal with a Juggler team, essentially the best way is to have Ares, Night of Mystery, and Claret in your box, so that you will have those characters to kill Juggler, and then put all the damage increase, Wailer, Iris, Tiarius, and also later Imelda into your box. So you will always have a damage increase method. In that case, you can be more consistently in killing Juggler. But my problem with single target strategy is that you put a lot of effort on killing Juggler, but then if you actually fails, it could be bad RNG, or it could be just not enough enchant or not enough training. Then if you fail to kill the Juggler, usually it will result a loss. This is why I'm not super big fan of the single target only strategy. But yeah, this is still how you deal with Juggler. I mean, if you really cannot deal with Juggler, you feel like your box cannot kill Juggler with all the long legs, then you just ban Juggler and deal with land use. So yeah, this is about how you should build your Juggler in the current meta, and what to do to survive with your Juggler, and also a little bit of how you kill Juggler. So yeah, hopefully this video can help a little bit. I'm making this video in some because some people they asked me about how my Juggler should be built, and how I should survive all these single target damage dealers, and and a lot of questions about how to deal with Juggler. So hopefully this video is a little bit helpful, and if you have other questions, please leave the comments, and then yeah, I will pick some topics in the future to make a video about. Okay, see you guys later. Peace.